While we are having to change how we operate, we are still committed to a transparent process and encouragement of public comment during our meetings. We will be accepting testimony from parties. If you wish to testify on a particular petition before us this evening using the Zoom platform, please use the raise hand feature. You can raise your hand at any time and we will recognize you at the appropriate time for the presentation of evidence for each case. If in person, please hand staff your comment form that are in the back of the room. Senior planner Travis Newberry will be moderating the hybrid meeting and will be asked to provide names of those individuals that wish to speak, again, as hands are raised or as read from the comment form. I would like to call the meeting of the City of Wildwood's Board of Adjustment to order. The board members present today are Bob Morris, board member, Kevin Lux, board member, Jim Van Nest, board member, Arnie Sprunger, board member, and myself, Jared Frank, chair for tonight's meeting. The Department of Planning staff present is Joe Vunich, Director of Planning, Travis Newberry, Senior Planner, and Robin Keefe, Planner. City Attorney John Young and Court Reporter Courtney Tallman and City Administrator Cross are also present. First, I offer into the record the affidavit of publication pertaining to today's meeting, October 20th, 2022, and take official notice of the zoning ordinance of City of Wildwood, including Chapter 400, Article 2, authorizing and establishing the Board of Adjustments powers and duties. Now, let me explain the hearing procedure. Please be aware that the information I'm about to describe is also provided on the Board of Adjustment public hearing procedure handout, which was also available online prior and up to tonight's meeting. This hearing is informal in its nature. However, the meeting's procedures will be recorded by a reporter for future transcription if needed. The petitions are called in the order listed on the agenda. As the petition is called, I will ask a Department of Planning staff member to read each request into the record. Thereafter, the Department of Planning will have opening remarks and a brief slide presentation. Then the petitioner or his or her representative will be asked to state their name and address, be sworn in by the court reporter, make a brief presentation to the board explaining the nature of the requested variance, and present such evidence and witness testimony that may evidence the practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship that warrant the variance. The board will only consider the unique character of the property to determine whether they warrant the granting of a variance. Board members may ask questions to clarify the facts of the petitioner's presentation. When the board is satisfied with the material presented by the petitioner, the chair will then ask if there is anyone present or online who would like to speak in favor or opposition to the requested variance. Each speaker will be asked to provide their name and address, be sworn in, and then provide their evidence or oral testimony. Procedurally, the petitioner may request a continuance at any time during the hearing prior to a call for the vote in order to bring in additional evidence or testimony. The board may also continue the proceedings. After the submission of testimony and evidence from all interested parties, the board will ask a staff person to provide the Department of Planning's report on this matter. If requested by any member of the board, the petitioner, or any individual that is participating in person or online. Once all witnesses have been heard, the chair will call for a motion to grant or deny with or without conditions. Then the board will vote. At that time, the presentation of evidence relating to the petition is concluded and no further evidence will be permitted. The board may make a decision today. 4 members of the board must vote in favor of the variance for it to be approved. If a variance is approved, the petitioner has 6 months to obtain the necessary permits or establish the use, or it will expire. If the board's decision is unfavorable, the petitioner has the right of appeal to the St. Louis County Circuit Court. This appeal must be done within 30 days of the decision. Mr. Newberry, are there any questions at this time?
No, sir, Mr. Chair.
Hearing no questions at this time, the meeting will proceed. Please read the first request into the record, which will be followed by a brief slide presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, members of the board, the first item tonight is BA 29-22, Rich Landman, 14823 Conway Road, Chesterfield, Missouri 63017. Request an exception to the minimum yard requirements, general, for the purpose of constructing a new single-family dwelling upon the property located at 1224 Lewis Spring Drive, locator number 19U120146, Lewis Springs Farm, Lot 12, which would authorize a front yard setback of 35 feet in lieu of the 50-foot standard from the private roadway easement. This request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 415.090 NU Non-Urban District Regulations of the City of Wildwood Zoning Ordinance and St. Louis County Plat Book 305, pages 93 and 94. The property is located in Ward 2. And before beginning the slide presentation by Ms. Keefe, the department would like to introduce into the record the following items. Chapter 440, Article 2 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Board of Adjustment. Chapter 415 of the same City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the zoning ordinance. The file that has been developed and maintained by the Department of Planning regarding this request and all contents contained therein, including the department's report with recommendation. And then finally, any items and testimony that is offered as evidence tonight at this hearing, including but not limited to plats, maps, letters, and other items. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to offer the planning staff to make any initial comments pertaining to the petition, followed by a brief slide presentation by staff.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I will be giving the presentation this evening. And I don't have any initial comments, so I will dive right in. The first case this evening is located in northeastern Wildwood. It is just to the east of Strecker Road and to the south of Cures Mill Road. You can actually see the boundary of the city here in purple. The lot in question is located at the northeastern corner of Lewis Spring Farms Road and Lewis Spring Drive. It is 3 acres in size, and currently it is a vacant lot. It is in the non-urban residence district, and it's surrounded primarily by large residential lots, 3 acres or more in area. It is a heavily wooded lot, and there is a substantial slope to it. It descends 52 feet from Lewis Spring Farms Drive to the rear of the property over on the eastern side of it. There is floodplain present on this lot in the northern tip. It is 0.7 acres, but as you can see by this graphic here, it is more than 300 feet away from the proposed single-family dwelling. So it is of no concern for this variance. Here you can see the plot plan proposed by the applicant. In pink, I have the present setbacks outlined on the lot. And in blue here, I have the proposed setback line. You can see the residence here in orange and Lewis Spring Farms Road here in yellow and Lewis Springs Drive. This dotted purple line represents the private roadway easement. And per our code, the residence is required to be 50 feet setback from that purple line. So this pink line here represents a 50-foot setback, and the blue line represents a 35-foot setback. The most of the structure will actually be 50 feet away from edge of pavement, except for a small portion of the garage, which is a side entry garage. Here you can see elevations of the proposed single-family dwelling. And here we are looking southwest at the subject lot, which has had some partial clearing done to it already. And this pavement here is Lewis Spring Farms Road. This is just a zoomed in perspective of the lot in the same direction. This is the northeastern view of it. And this is a northeastern perspective. We are standing on Lewis Spring Farm Road, looking towards the end of the cul-de-sac. The subject lot is just to the right of the screen here, where the vehicle is parked. And this is a close-up of the neighboring residence that was just featured to the northeast. As you can see, they also had a slope on their lot, and so they're set back partially below grade. This is also Lewis Spring Farm Road looking southwest. And this is the western neighbor right across the street from the subject lot. This is the intersection of Lewis Spring Farm Road and Lewis Spring Drive. This is Lewis Spring Drive here. And then that is a view of the portion of the subject lot that abuts Lewis Spring Drive. This home is at 16943 Lewis Spring Farm Road. It is in the same subdivision, and it had a similar variance approved for it. In conclusion, we have received letters of support from the trustees, so there is trustee approval in this case. There was one comment issued to the department in opposition, but as noted in our report, it appeared that they were confused as to the facts of the case, and they were in a different subdivision. At this time, I will conclude my presentation and open it up to any questions of the board for Director Bunich, myself, Senior Planner Newberry, and anyone else from the city who may be present. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. This time, will the petitioner please come forward, state his or her name, address, relation to the property, and then be sworn in by the court reporter.
Okay, Rich Landman, 14823 Conway Road, Chesterfield, 63017. Anything
And
else?
Courtney, can you see him?
Sorry.
Yeah. Would you be able to zoom in just a smidge?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay, yeah, I'm the owner
Okay.
of the property, sorry.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Landman. If you could please explain the nature of the request and the hardship or practical difficulty necessitating the variance.
Sure. As far as the lot, as you can see, it has a pretty significant slope. That's why this lot has been vacant for the last 25 years. All the other houses are probably 20 to 25 years old here. I'm the 15th home up here. They built it on top of a ridge. For the houses across the street from me, the street was placed on my side of the ridge. So they actually were built up on top of the ridge and all. So they're 75 feet back maybe from the street. Whereas where mine is completely different. So I'm just fighting that. And then the further I go down the hill, two things. My house will be more below grade, which I don't want that. I want right now about half of my first floor, maybe a good portion of it is already going to be below grade. If we go to the setback, it was the 50-foot setback. I'm going to be about 1 to 1.5 of my house will be below grade. The other portion of it is behind me. Since I'm on top of a ridge, we really don't have much water, but there is a dormant creek in the back. I'm trying to stay far away from that also, and hopefully not have to take down additional trees, pushing me back. So like I said, it is a pretty heavily wooded lot, and I'd like to salvage as much of that as I can. From the property line, because my lot starts at the middle of the road, the actual property line that I've got, and that road's 20 feet. So I got 10 feet there. I'm actually just trying to get 50 feet from the road. That's where I want to be. It's just that easement pushes me back about another 12 or 13 feet. We asked for the 35 feet simply because once we get there and my survey company comes back to stake my house, I'm telling them to put me at 50 feet, even if it means I'm only gonna do a additional set of 15-foot setback addition, or maybe 12. You know, I'm just trying to get 50 feet from the road because I don't want to be close to the road. I'd rather have more yard personally. But it's just the circumstances to building on it, and then the amount of wall and double, I guess, foundation I'm gonna have to build in the back already just to support because of the slope. So that's it. I'm really just trying to save some trees. Have my house not so deep down the hill. There is one house to the west of me. Theirs was more significant. I don't know why they built on that one versus mine 15 years ago, but their whole house is literally below grade. And that house had a hard time selling. It actually went in, it went in foreclosure back in 08. When that's the first time I went into this neighborhood looking for lots. So I've been looking at this property for a long time. So anyway, that's it. I'm trying to move into Marquette. My kids go there, so I'm lots in Marquette are rare. So you just have to deal with these challenges.
Question. We'll go ahead and open the floor to any board member questions.
Real quick, did you actually look at building in the proper setback footage, or did you not even bother doing that?
Well, I went by what was already up there. I was kind of looking at the houses that had the issues that I had, and I knew there was a 50-foot setback, but it's always unknown. When you start looking at when they actually come out and do the survey is where that's going to place you. It's always a little gray. And so that was a concern. And to have this lot had full honeysuckle for the first 15, 20 feet. It was extremely hard to access. And working with a roll of tape and going down the hill and just guesstimating where my house was going to be. Because the survey company really didn't really want to survey it until I had a partial clearing anyway. So I'm it's close to where I thought it was going to be, but not, we're dealing in 10, 12 feet. It's kind of hard to judge that when you're going down a slope and measure. I'm not a surveyor by any means, but that was what I came across. And the trustees approved me because the last house that was built was the first one on the left. I don't know if you've been into this, when you come up, he's 50 feet. He built Steve Lederman. He's an attorney. He's one of the trustees that approved it. His house is just hanging off the cliff on that left side. And he's literally, his garage, the same thing. It's 50 feet from the road, just like I'm proposing. So he understands the same challenges that I'm dealing with. And the house that I told you is full below grade. That's 50 feet from the road. And then so the house that you told had the approval, the last few houses going in there just to try to build, that's just been the situation. I mean, I've got a 3-acre lot. You would think I wouldn't have to use it, but it's a very unique lot. As you saw, that one finger goes all the way down to Stricker to get my 3 acres. I guess that's how they did it, when they were creating this lot.
Any other questions? Seeing none, any speakers in the audience that may want to speak in favor or opposition to the request or via Zoom?
Mr. Chair, we do have some in attendance via Zoom. Just with your permission, I'd give the instruction if they'd like to speak regarding this item, if they would use the raise hand feature. Thank you.
Absolutely. Seeing none or hearing none, would anyone like an oral presentation of the department's report? Okay. Would the Department of Planning like to take this opportunity to make any final comments?
The Department of Planning would just note that we are recommending that this variance be approved. Just noting the substantial tree buffer around the lot, the fact that it would move the home further away from that creek in the rear and potentially reduce some of the tree clearing there. All of those support the department's recommendation. Thank you.
Would the board like to make any final comments? At this time, would like to close the proceeding for a vote. Do I have a motion to approve, a motion to deny, or a motion to approve with conditions?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Do I have a second? Mr. Morris has a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Sprunger. We have a second. We'll call a roll. Mr. Lux, how do you vote?
Approved.
Mr. Morris,
Approved.
Mr. Sprunger,
Approve.
Mr. Van Nest,
Approve.
and I as well vote to approve the variance. Congratulations, your variance is approved.
Thank you, appreciate it. Anything else I need to do? Okay, have a good evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Lim. At this time, Director Vudish, would you like to introduce the second variance of the evening?
Yes, sir. Thank you. The second and final variance on tonight's agenda, members of the board, is BA 30-22, Kevin Alm, 18608 Road Bridge Court, Wildwood, Missouri, 63005. Request an exception to the minimum yard requirements general for the purpose of constructing a fence, which encompasses portions of the side and rear yard areas upon the property located at 18608 Road Bridge Court, locator number 19X 310191, lot 34 of Wild Horse Spring Farm subdivision, plat 9, which would thereby authorize a 13-foot tall fence when set upon a 6-foot retaining wall within the southern side yard setback and an 8-foot tall fence within the northern side yard setback in lieu of the 6-foot standard. This request is contrary to the requirements of Chapter 415.090 NU Non-Urban Resident District Regulations of the City of Wildwood's zoning ordinance. This particular property is located in Ward 1. And again, before having Ms. Keefe do the slide presentation, the department would like to introduce into the record the following items. Chapter 400, Article 2 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Board of Adjustment. Chapter 415 of the same City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the zoning ordinance, the file that has been developed and maintained by the department regarding this particular request and all contents contained therein, including the department's report with recommendation. And then finally, any testimony or evidence that are provided as part of tonight's hearing, including but not limited to plats, maps, letters, comments forms, and any other items. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Munich. At this time, does the department would like make any initial comments pertaining to the petition?
No, sir.
All right. We will start the presentation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Our next case involves a lot that is in northern Wildwood, just to the south and to the just to the south of Wild Horse Creek Road and to the west of Highway 109. It is in the Wild Horse Spring Farm subdivision, and the land use pattern is residential on large lots primarily. However, this particular subdivision has a higher density and is surrounded with smaller lots surrounding common ground. Babbler State Park is just to the west. The subject lot in this case is 1.5 acres in size. There's an existing single-family dwelling upon it, and it's accessed by a private driveway that serves both the subject lot and also lot 36. The lot is heavily wooded, and it also has a very interesting topography with a substantial slope from the rear of the lot, descending in a bowl shape around the existing residence. There's 64 feet of overall relief. And you'll see in a minute how that plays out in terms of retaining walls and fencing. This is a southeastern view of the residence. So this is the front. This is a view of a residence directly across from the private drive. This is Row Bridge Court. And this is looking north. This is a neighboring property directly to the north of the residence, also off of Row Bridge Court, and we'll see them again in a minute. And then this is looking south from Row Bridge Court at the private driveway to the residence. This is the site plan that was submitted by the petitioner. The pink line represents the setback line. The brown is the private driveway easement that serves both lot 34 and lot 36. This is Row Bridge Court, and this is the existing single-family dwelling on the lot. The blue lines represent a series of retaining walls that help with that bowl shape topography that we discussed. The petitioner is proposing 76 feet of length of fencing that's 7 feet tall, primarily in the front of the residence. So you can see that here and here, while the rest of the fencing would be 8 feet tall and surrounding it from behind and along the sides. And that's 446 feet of that type of fencing. Where there is a retaining wall, and you'll see the photos that give the illustration, where the fence is up on the retaining wall, there will be a total height of 13 feet. And that's 6 feet of retaining wall and 7 feet of fence. And this is an illustration of the fence, the specifications surrounding it. This is a view of the existing fence, looking at the front of the residence, and we are looking east. This is the neighbor just to the north that we saw off of Row Bridge Court that are most likely to be impacted by the fencing here. This would be 8 feet of fence. Here is that retaining wall where the fence that's being proposed would be a maximum of 13 feet high. And then this is from the fence at the top, looking to the rear. So this is looking east, but you can see how it will envelop the property from behind. Now, actually going back to the site plan, if you might notice, a good substantial portion of the fencing here in the rear is actually adhering to the setbacks. So it is of no concern. We're primarily looking at the fencing here and here where it is within the setback. Okay. This is a view of the view to the south. This is the end of that private driveway. And then this is a view to the west of the neighbor across the street and the other party most likely to be affected by the fence. And this is their view to the east. And again, the view to the east. The two neighbors in question that we discussed have both voiced their support for the new fence. And the trustees have also given their approval. And with that, I will conclude my presentation. And if you have any questions, department staff is here to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. At this time, I'd like to call the petitioner forward, state his or her name, address, relation to the property, and then be sworn in by the court reporter.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Alm is attending via Zoom.
Can you unmute, please, Mr. Alm, and we'll
There we are.
have you,
Good evening. Thank you.
can you please state your name, address in relation to the property, and then we'll get you sworn in?
Thank you. My name is Kevin Alm. I live at 18608 Rowbridge Court. I am the owner of the property.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alm. If you could please explain the nature of the request and the hardship or practical difficulty necessitating the variance.
Good evening. Thank you. And sorry that I cannot be with you live tonight. I'm traveling this week. The catalyst for this request came from a home burglary that we had on July 16th, where 4 men entered our property from the east side of the property, from outside of our subdivision. One of those slides gives a good picture of a lot that has some abandoned cars and so forth in it. They traversed from the east, came over our existing fence, down those retaining walls, actually into our pool area, up onto the roof, through the window, and spent about 45 minutes in our home. Stole jewelry and cash from our home, including my safe, which took 3 of the 4 of them to pull out of our home and back up that back retaining walls to their vehicles. So our request is to follow the existing fence line, but to really strengthen and reinforce that fencing and to provide kind of that first layer of security for the home. So the fence line that would be visible to the driveway would be 7 feet as described by Ms. Keep. And then around the back would be the more substantial 8-foot fence, primarily hidden in the woods, and not very visible to anyone, but would grant us a substantially higher level of kind of first line of defense that we've paired with, as you might guess, a better security system and improved security system and so forth. So our purpose is to provide kind of better security for the home, more peace of mind, without materially impacting our neighbors or anybody else. So I'll stop there and take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Alm. This time, does the board members have any questions?
Yeah, just real quick, Mr. Alm, sorry about your unfortunate experience with the burglary. That's not a good thing. Yeah. How high is the current fence?
It is pool height. I believe it's between 5 and 6 feet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? Are there any speakers in the audience who may want to speak in favor or opposition to the request?
Mr. Chair, again, I would state there are some in attendance via Zoom, and if they would use the raise hand feature if they'd like to address the board. Thank you.
Seeing none? Would anybody like to hear an oral presentation from the department's report? Seeing none? Would the Department of Planning like the opportunity to make any final comments?
The Department of Planning is supporting this petitioner's request, particularly given how secluded the home is from other homes, given that he has support from all of his impacted neighbors and the trustees. And the fact that in this case, it really is a public safety concern. We are supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any final comments that the board would like to make? Seeing none, I'd like to close the proceeding for a vote. Do I have a motion to approve, a motion to deny, or a motion to approve with conditions?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance request.
Thank you, Mr. Sprunger. Do I have a second to approve the motion? I'm sorry, to approve the variance.
I'll second it.
Mr. Morris, thank you for seconding the motion. We will do a roll call. Mr. Lux,
Approved.
how do you vote? Mr. Morris,
Approved.
Mr. Sprunger,
Approve.
Mr. Van Nest,
Approve.
and I as well approve or vote to approve the motion. Mr. Alm, I'm sorry that happened to you. Hopefully this will bring some peace of mind and added security and hopefully wish you best of luck in the future.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate your time very much.
Thank you. I believe as the second of two tonight, is that correct? Quick night. Any other orders of business? Anything else we need to do? All right. At this time, I would do a full roll call to close the proceeding. I'm sorry. Voice vote. Okay.
Do we have to make a motion or anything? Or?
I don't officially. I will handle it from here, everybody, and say that this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for coming. I appreciate it. There's a coffee left over.
Thanks, everybody.